Hello, friends. So you know the Palm Beach group, Tiki, I think's the guy's name. Little video of him has been posting around. I've actually reposted it myself. We all have already heard about this. Bitcoin ETF recently, and the Winklevoss twins that run Gemini. Some other group at one point they were trying to get an ETF approved, an exchange traded fund. If an ETF for Bitcoin, really any crypto, but Bitcoin, were to get approved by the Security Exchange Commission, the SEC, that's the kind of thing that we've started talking about since last year. Hey, when the institutional money comes in, hey, when the big investment money comes in, hey, blah, 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 blah. That's the kind of thing that will propel cryptos to the absurd numbers that we've heard. 100K Bitcoin, come on. 100K Bitcoin parties, that's absurd. Litecoin, 1/5 the price of Bitcoin. Oh, come on. That's the kind of thing that can push it. This guy thinks $65,000 Bitcoin is right around the corner because he says, and I've never been so sure than I am now, this ETF application that was submitted by a company, or the platform is actually SolidX. And it says, I'm going to read you this article, but in collaboration with the New York-based Van Eyck investment firm and blockchain platform SolidX, CBOE, which is CBOE, the global markets, right? Hold on, stupid pop-up thing. It's the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. Hello? They've been around for a long time. If you're the SEC, do you approve them, or do you approve the Winklevoss twins, who are basically new to crypto, never had a background like the freaking SIBO? Anyway, so this little group's working together with SolidX, and I'm going to read you this article because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's got to happen by August 10th. They got to give a ruling if it's approved or not. Which means if let's just say at the very last date they were allowed to, which is August 10th, which by the way, it's actually not. I'm going to talk about that in a second. That means, okay, green light, ETF, here we come. Crypto markets on that kind of news. Not some of the good news we've heard recently, but that kind of news is the kind of news that could really take the market up in an insane way. But it's the money that would go into the ETF that would push it to the next level. Like tens of thousands of dollars for Bitcoin. Multiples. So let's read this for a second. This is from CoinDisrupt.com, Mark Hartley. Bitcoin ETF decision will not be on August 10th. Unless you've been living under a rock, you will have no doubt heard by on or about August 10th, the date the SEC will decide its ruling on a proposed Bitcoin ETF. On June 26th, last month, the SEC received an application from CBOE or CBOE Global Markets for a Bitcoin exchange traded fund or ETF license. CBOE Global Markets is the company that owns the Chicago Board Options Exchange, as well as the BATS Global Markets, a pan-European market that operates between London and the U.S. Creation of a new Bitcoin ETF. In collaboration with the New York-based Van Eyck investment firm and blockchain platform SolidX, CBOE Global Markets put forward the proposal for a license to list and trade Bitcoin-based ETFs. Approval of a Bitcoin ETF could be huge news for the cryptocurrency market. Van Eyck CEO Jan Van Eyck believes the creation of a Bitcoin ETF will give further exposure to the price of Bitcoin and help protect shareholders against operational risks associated with investing in the asset. Now, what Tiki, I think it's against the guy's name from the Palm Beach group, said, before we heard, that someone's coming out trying to get approval for a Bitcoin ETF, he said, I don't think it'll happen. He said, this is the one time that I'm telling you now it's going to be approved. Like, he's absolutely, certain. Absolutely certain. So, if he's that certain, and he said, and he gave an example in his video, and he said, he goes, last year when it was around $1,800 for Bitcoin, middle of the year, July, maybe in July also, I forget. He says, I was saying at futures, or the futures markets coming to the cryptos, you're going to see at least, I don't know if he said at least or 10K Bitcoin, one or the other. And it's true, he did say that. But what did we see Bitcoin run up to? 20K. So he was off by 100% of the amount he gave. 10K times 100%, doubling 20K. In other words, he got it wrong to the low side. All of last year, when I was talking cryptos too, I was off to the low side. When I heard Cliff High talk about Litecoin, I didn't know that on Coinbase it was going to hit at $420 or so. Everywhere else about 370, 380. I didn't know it was going to go that high that quick. But I did know, Cliff High did say triple digits, but and I said, look, let me just give you an idea. Triple digits does mean $100. 105, 110, 120, that's triple digits, guys. Let's be real here. Ran up to 300 something. Bitcoin, 20K. So that same webbot has been talking about 100K Bitcoin parties. And the timing was end of this year, 2018. And you and I, right now, looking at the price, $61, $62, $6,300. I'm sorry, how's it? What? That's absurd, Well, remember, it was absurd last year when it was $1,800, and it ran up to 20 at the end of the year. 20K. That's pretty damn absurd. However, let's just be fair. Let's just round off 1,800 to 2,000, and then went to 20,000. So it means we went 10 times from that point. Remember, before that, early in the year, it wasn't even that high, 1,800. So let's just be fair for a second. So from that time period, since we're also in that same time period roughly here in July, and we're at, we'll round down a hair, $6,000 Bitcoin. $2,000 Bitcoin last year, again, 1,800, whatever, times 10 is $20,000. So it 10x. If it 10x's from right now, there's your $60,000. There it is. Right there. Now, why would it go more than a 10x? Because we have an ETF pumping this thing that got approved. And the thing that this guy says is the most important for him is that the SEC is concerned because of the way Bitcoin and everything operates. You can get screwed, do any of these companies wanting an ETF providing any kind of insurance? No. Well, you're not approved. He's saying this is the first time this group will have insurance to back that fund. So should something go wrong, hack or whatever, something happens, they have insurance. That and that alone should it please the SEC to extremely high levels. Thus, he says, granting them the approval. So this rest of this article goes on to talk about, they have a 45-day window, but technically it was the SEC notice was published on June 26th, but that's not the same date that it was published in the Federal Register, and it's the Federal Register when the clock starts ticking. So what that means is it's not necessarily by August 10th that we've all been hearing. Technically, they have to August 16th. Oh, big deal, 6 days later. Now, as he says, and he quotes it right from the notice, so I want to talk to you about this next. Within 45 days of the date of publication of this notice in the Federal Register, which means August 16th, or within such longer period, one, as the Commission may designate up to 90 days of such a date, if it finds such longer period to be appropriate, and publishes its reasoning for so finding. So let's go there. Let's say it's because remember it says within 45 days of this publication notice in the Federal Register, which means, hell, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be a week from now, it could be any day up until August 16th that they say, yep, we're approving it, done. I'm just thinking webbot stuff. Imagine The 4 days in July thing. Holy crap. They got approval in July. They don't need extra time. Again, it's the Chicago Board Options Exchange. This is like an entity that's been around for how long? The SEC has already worked with them a million times. Like, oh, it's those guys. Yep. We know they're going to do this legitimately. You know, like by the book. Yeah, come on over. Not the Winklevoss twins. Not this other group. You might even argue, well, that's kind of the club a little bit. More reason for you to understand it's going to get approved, right? So that would be phenomenal. Guys, we've made our decision. We don't need to wait 45 days to August 16th or so. It's sometime middle of July, and it's a go. That would be freaking awesome, okay? And that is a possibility. However, there's another possibility. And maybe they don't, again, have to wait till August 16th to give us this notice. But they may determine here shortly, we need up to, another 90 days. So it says within 45 days of the date of the publication of this notice in the Federal Register, or within such longer period as the Commission may designate, up to 90 days of such date. Meaning, what could stop them from a week from now saying we need 90 days starting now, and give you the reason why, which would put us at what time frame? Speaking of, psychics and everything else, fall time, get ready for a nice massive crypto pump. Well, let's just say, even in August, let's say August 1st, August, September, October, November. That is right in line with fall time, isn't it? At the same time, if it came out a little earlier, by chance, let's just say, we're already kind of in the middle of July, but let's just say they actually did that, and they needed their 90 days. Middle of July to August, August to September, September, October. Once again, there it is. Now, again, what would be really cool is if within the 45-day window of time, they make their decision, the SEC that is, and they're happy with it. Yes, we're going to approve it. Have a nice day. Because when I hear the WebBot 4 days in July, what is it? And this is the 4 days. Today's the 13th. And it said the 9th to the 10th, possibly the end of the 10th, so we'll just call it the 11th. 11 to 12, 12 to 13, 13 to 14, 14 to 15 would be 4 days there. Not to mention, as Cliff says, I need 2 to 3 days of window of time for his WebBot. Just, it's the nature of the beast. But I'm also in the mindset of, okay, what if nothing, none 4 day nothing happens, and okay, that was weird, whatever. Does that change? Let me ask you, does that change what I just told you about? What the Palm Beach group has been saying for the last few days? And usually when that guy makes a claim, he usually has a really good reason to back it and proves on later, see, I told you so. One of those kind of things. So, regardless of what, let's just throw all the woo-woo out for a second. Regardless of WebBot and Psychic, and it's just pure information that we have access to. A Bitcoin ETF gives the ability of all investors out there, small mom and pop, the big investors, you name it, institutions, to run into an ETF with a ton of money because it is now in compliance, made the SEC happy. Oh, they got insurance. Yep. People get screwed. They'll be insured. Yep. Okay, good. We're happy. As the stock markets falter up and down the nonsense, people are going to look at cryptos and say, whoa, that might be where I want to put my money. The problem is, I don't know how to do it. I don't know. Now they'll be able to go right on their computer into different trading accounts that they may have, or just simple investment accounts, I'll call, where they just log in. Let me buy a few shares of that company. And okay, my little E-Trade account or whatever it is. Oh, what's that? Bitcoin ETF. Oh, there it is. That's how I can do it now. Done. So aside of all, push that woo-woo aside. How does this make you feel? If the woo-woo didn't even exist and you just heard this, you would be telling yourself, wow. And it's still an if, we don't know for sure, but if this ETF application gets approved, and again, according to Tiki, it is. He said, I'm telling you now, unequivocally, it is going to get approved. That's what he said. And I believe him, 100%. That will be the next level, pushes all these coins to the next level. And that's probably when Snippy, guys, let's go ahead and lock in that cruise. We found one for the beginning of next year or whatever it is, whatever we gotta find. I gotta get with the Psychic Friends Network, J-Snip's Psychic Friends Network, to ask them all. Guys, when's a good date for all of you? Because all of you, I gotta make sure we all get on there. And then everyone else will just find out, Joe, when are you doing it? Here's the date and time. If you can make it, great. If you can't, love you. I'm gonna miss you. But that's the date, because I can't pick and choose and pick everybody and that person can't, Basically the inner circle of knowledge and woo-woo, all these people, we're all doing this stuff, trying to help people out, give information. We're going to have to decide the best dates, honestly, for us, for ourselves, our families, So when that day comes, obviously you'll get an announcement. You should have plenty of time if you need to take off work. Hey, take it off. But understand, the announcement will not come out of my mouth until we see a nice, not a baby rally, but a nice rally, like the one that this might be able to produce. Is it this month? Is it next month? Is it the fall? Whatever it is. This is why I hold and I hold and I hold, and I don't care. The price, dipped again. It's starting to bull market. No, back down. Oh my gosh. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I'm back down. Oh my god. I don't care. I'm doing what I always do. Which ones are down the most? I don't want to move some of those. I like my bag right now. I think I'll just hold. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? That one didn't move much. I have a lot of those, but that one went down a lot. You know what? Let me go ahead and scrape a little of that off of there into that one. Up. The dip is finished. Finished dipping. Up. That one's up 15% next day. Boom. Like I would show you guys on CoinMarketCap on a bloodbath day. That one's down 18%, 28%. Status token, that one's down 20. I'm gonna grab some of those. Next day, it's up 20. What's that old thing? Buy the fear, sell the greed. Buy the fear, sell the greed. Problem is, if you're fearful, you might be the one selling. And you ain't buying from yourself, you're selling because you're scared. Not Snippy, my friends. That's why I come out here doing these videos. Got my Patreon group now where I try to feed them some stuff early in advance. Like what I'm telling you about here was one of the things that we just discussed on there. Or I say we, really me. Not that this really matters, because this isn't like a tip that you can do right now. Get in it quick. You got some time. But point is, I try to give them, the golden nuggets first. Obviously, they're the paying patrons. So anyways, just want to talk about this for a second. Let's look at the charts just briefly. And I wasn't sure today. Will I post this video Friday? Because it's Friday. Should I do this Saturday morning? I'm not sure yet. So you'll see it whenever I push it out there. But, green a little bit. Little green today. We need to see some Bitcoin action back up above 6,800. Get over to that 7,000, 7,100 mark. And then it can bounce around there. It's okay. Again, Litecoin needs to be, in my opinion, probably over $85, pushing closer to 90. But the thing is, they're all going to get there. There's all these coins I'm looking at right now at the moment, and they'll get there. And again, when an announcement such as, ETF approved, and it may not, I don't know if it'll be the announcement itself. I would think it would push the market up. Sure, it's a fantastic announcement. That's not just some good news. That's some great news. And I'm not even sharing my screen with you. But it's when, okay, here comes the investors using that new ETF, getting into that new ETF, I should say, thus pushing the price up. Will it happen the day of, the day after, the week after? Again, don't know. But that's one of the stepping stones, a huge block, as a matter of fact, stepping block, not a stepping stone, as a stepping block. That's going to be huge and will at some point propel this market to the next level. The question is how soon after the announcement is made, and we're gonna have to wait and see. But again, I'm not concerned. I'm not in here trying to get in and out in a month or two and I sold everything, I'm rich. Let's be realistic. Could you do that with a 401k? Could you do that with anything else? So why are we so adamant that it has to be that way with crypto? Just because some of the cryptos, again, Veritasium, $6, got out 120 something bucks in 3 weeks. Great. But how many times do we see that? That is rare. That is a rare type of a thing, to get in something that quick and out with that kind of return. Most of the time, we got to wait months and months and months and months, a year, whatever. Maybe not even a year, really. So, again, just relax. Oh, my portfolio's down. I was even. Now it's even down. I'm telling you, what I'm doing, like I said, I got a fuse a mile long. I'm giving you all the reasoning why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, why I think this stuff's going to go somewhere that I'm telling you I think it's going to go. And it should make a tiny bit of sense. And I told Frank the other day at work, I said, look, let's just think about this. What else is there that you and I could have gotten into? Or you got in. He got in a little later last year, a little late to the party, but he got in. And I said, what else would you be able to do this whole time? And understanding that where we hope this goes, and we got a good reason to have that hope, is it worth the chance? Because if it doesn't and it fails, then what? You're back to what you had before, minus some money you invested, sure. But you're back to the same choices you had before. Oh, let me get into gold and silver market or commodities or oil. Oh, no, okay. Oh, stock market. It's crashing again, back down. Oh, there it goes back up, back down again. 3%, 1%, 2%. Oh, okay. Or do you want to take a little shot and throw a Hail Mary in crypto that has already proven not once, not twice, not 3 times, but several times? These big crashes come, then it goes back up, new highs. Big crash comes, and it doesn't matter. Oh, that only lasted 2 months. Oh, this one lasted 6 months. Oh, whoa, the ones before should last over a year. None of that matters. If you're looking just a tiny bit long term, I'm not talking to look out 10 years, guys. Come on, give us 10 years. I'm like, wait a year or two. Like, a couple years? You got a couple years left in your life to just sit and watch this little nest egg, so to speak, do some things. And yes, it's going to do a massive roller coaster ride. And then when you're getting ready, you feel like, okay, after the next run up, I think I'm out. Then you're out. You did it. You waited a year, 2, 3, whatever it was, years, for you to get that final run up where you felt like this is it. And then you got out. You did it. You will look back and say, man, I remember those months where, that one extended drought we had, so to speak, in December or beginning of 2018 to the middle, let's say. Because we're in the middle now, I can't see the future for next month because it could start getting good here shortly. But man, 6-7 months, man. Waited and waited. We thought, well, this time's different. Well, the futures contracts, they rigged it, and well, it was and we just old Snippy, man, that son of a gun, he held the whole time, and damn it, that son of a gun, he called it, and I followed him, and I waited with him, and it finally paid off. That's the kind of stories I want to hear. That's the kind of stories I'm hoping for. And again, I've got some pretty darn good reasons that this hope ain't smoking no hopium. This is going to be something legit. So, anyway, just share that little, preaching words of wisdom. Let J Snip preach. And that's about it. Now I just decide, am I releasing this Friday or Saturday? That doesn't really matter. There's not anything breaking news, Well, and not to mention, I got that 2-hour-long interview with Penny Kelly today already up. Maybe I will release this in the morning. Anyways, take care.